In this video, I'm reviewing the Hazel Quinn milk frother by creating some iced and hot coffee recipes. So let's get started. Thank you to Hazel Quinn for sending me their milk frother, for which they have asked me to create an unbiased review for. My first impression was that it is a great looking milk frother with a nice retro design. It's a two-piece unit comprising a base and a stainless steel jug with a nice handle. The LED display is protected with a plastic cover that doesn't seem to be removable. When you plug it in, the power button on the left flashes, prompting you to tap it. There are 5 programs to choose from: heated milk with thick froth, heated milk with light froth, a cold froth option, heated milk, and last is the hot chocolate program. In the middle of the display, you have a plus and minus to set the temperature of your milk if you wanted to adjust it. Following the manual, I have to make sure I have in the smaller smooth whisk. And then attach the notched whisk, which is needed for frothing milk or chocolate. When heating milk, however, you only need to use the smaller smooth whisk on its own. You don't need to attach this bigger notched whisk. The stainless steel jug has an extra large capacity, with the minimum line holding 4 ounces. The maximum froth line measures up to 8 ounces, and the maximum line for no froth holds 12 ounces of liquid. Once I figured out how to use the milk frother, I attempted to make an iced vanilla almond mocha using a dark roast pod. You want to use the smallest brew setting, and on the Keurig K-Express it is the 8 ounce, and also select the strong button if you have this option on your Keurig. Now, since I don't want to use 8 ounces of coffee, I stopped the coffee maker once it reached 4 ounces, giving me 5 ounces of brewed coffee, because it does take a couple of seconds for the coffee to stop dispensing. Testing the temperature with my Typhur instant read thermometer, you can see that the temperature was too hot at around 165 degrees Fahrenheit, so I let this cool down first. Now, depending on how much time and patience you have, you can let this cool down overnight in the fridge if you really wanted to get a more bolder coffee taste. But since I'm making this video, I'm just going to get on with it. Putting my coffee aside and giving it a stir a few times to let some of the heat out to help it cool down faster, I then began working on frothing my milk. I have my vanilla flavored almond milk, and I poured in 8 ounces up to the maximum froth line. Placing the jug on the magnetic base, plugging in the unit and pressing the flashing power button, then pressing the flashing pinwheel icon until I reach the program I want to use, which is the cold froth. The frother runs quietly, and it took about 2 minutes to froth cold milk. Taking a look at the almond milk, it did froth really nice and creamy, and testing the temperature, it gave me a reading of 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Filling up my 20-ounce tumbler 2/3 of the way with ice, I decided to add some chocolate syrup. I should have added the syrup before adding the ice, but that's okay. Then pouring the almond milk nice and slowly so that the froth is held back and the milk comes out first. Checking the temperature of my coffee, now it's cooled down quite a bit, so I can then pour this before scooping out my froth and layering it on top. And finally finishing it off with some shaved dark chocolate, and that looks and tasted amazing. This is a double insulated tumbler that I found on Amazon. I will leave links in the description for everything that I've used in this video if you guys want to check them out. And this tumbler comes with a lid and a straw, but I'm just going to leave the lid off for now. Next, I made an iced caramel vanilla coffee using a vanilla flavored iced coffee pod, pressing the 8 ounce and the strong button, but stopping at the 4 ounce mark to get 5 ounces of brewed coffee. Then stirring it a few times to help cool it down faster. Next, I measured 6 ounces of full fat milk and 2 ounces of heavy cream, mixing it together before pouring it into the frother. and selecting the cold froth program. This time I remember to drizzle my caramel sauce into my tumbler before filling it up with 2/3 of ice. Then pouring in my cooled coffee, then the frothed milk. And you can see that the heavy cream has risen to the top and become a little whipped cream in texture. So I held that back to let the milk out first. Unfortunately, the notched whisk doesn't sit in tightly and it kind of ruined my whole coffee video experience. Then after I cleaned up the mess, I drizzled on a little more caramel syrup on top. Here's a quick tip for you. If you stand your mug or tumbler in cold water, that will also help to quickly cool down your coffee. So like pre-cooling your mug in cold water. My third and final iced coffee recipe was going to be an oat milk latte, and I'm going to use my K-Cup for this one using fresh ground coffee. I like to use the Nabob Bold, which has a nice strong flavor, and I find it works really well for iced coffee. So removing the K-Pod holder from the Keurig machine and filling up the reusable K-Cup filter up to the maximum line, which is about 2 full scoops of coffee or about 2 tablespoons of coffee. Then pressing the 8-ounce and the strong buttons again, but pressing stop at the 4-ounce. You can also brew the full 8-ounce but split the coffee, storing half in the fridge to use the next day. I'm only doing it this way because I'm using different pods for this video and I don't want to store half of everything in my fridge and just take up all the space. I also let this stand in cold water to help speed up the cooling process. While my coffee was cooling, I started frothing my oat milk and filled it up to the maximum no froth level and selected the cold froth program. But the frother didn't seem to like this and started making a weird noise. Then I realized since I didn't want to froth my cold milk, I didn't even need to add it to the frother to begin with. So I'm not really sure what I was thinking there, but at least I figured that out, and the maximum no froth line is for heating milk or for the chocolate program. But anyway, since I was testing out the frother, I wanted to see how well it would do with oat milk. So I took out some of the oat milk, bringing it to the maximum froth level marking to see how it would handle frothing cold oat milk. While that was frothing, I filled up my tumbler with 2/3 of ice, then checking the temperature on my coffee, which has cooled down significantly using this cooling method. I poured it onto the ice. My oat milk was unsweetened, so to sweeten it, this time I added a teaspoon of sugar before pouring in the oat milk. Although the oat milk had a more bubbly texture rather than a thick foam, it was nice and creamy, so this was a great simple vanilla flavored oat milk iced coffee. When running the hot chocolate program, the instructions say to add the hot chocolate powder to the milk in small amounts while it's running. So I added 8 ounces of milk to the frother and selected the hot chocolate program, and then slowly started adding the powder, but I could see that it was starting to struggle. So I took a fork to help spread out the powder and mix it in gently into the milk, and then began running the program again, and this seemed to help. The hot chocolate program runs for quite a bit of time at 4 minutes and 35 seconds and gave a temperature of 164 degrees Fahrenheit. I wanted to test how well the frother could handle frothing 8 ounces of heated oat milk. Selecting the first program for heated milk with thick froth, the program ran for about 3 minutes and gave a temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit. I then poured this slowly into my 8-ounce brewed coffee and let the froth lay on top. It seemed to handle the oat milk really well, finishing it off with a sprinkle of cinnamon, and my oat latte looked delicious. My final thoughts on the Hazel Quinn milk frother is that it looks nice with its retro design. The jug can hold a large quantity of milk with clear markings inside to guide you on how much to add. The LED display is clear and bright but a little confusing to use. The instructions are not very clear. My first attempt at making an iced coffee failed because I couldn't get the cold froth program to work. So I ended up with a warm vanilla blend coffee consisting of sweetened condensed milk and full fat milk, which turned out rich and creamy for sure. But it wasn't what I was hoping for. The instructions are not very clear and the addition of the pinwheel button adds no value. It would have been less confusing to have a one-touch program option rather than a constant pressing of a button that takes you through all the programs, especially when the icon of a pinwheel is not really self-explanatory. The frother works quietly, but the base beeps can be annoying when the jug is not placed on the base. The notched whisk does not fit tightly and I have to remember to either hold it back in or not turn the jug fully upside down, causing it to fall out. Despite these issues, the Hazel Quinn milk frother did a good job. It made creamy, cold froth milk, especially for the iced vanilla almond mocha, and it was quiet when running. The frother didn't handle cold oat milk well. It made it more bubbly instead of foamy. This is common though with oat milk because it has less fat than dairy milk. It did, however, handle heated oat milk well. It heated the milk evenly and it created a nice creamy froth. Even though the program selection and the whisk need improvement, it is fun to make all the different coffee drinks, and my kid is just excited to use the hot chocolate option during the winter months. Alright guys, I hope you found this video useful. Please don't forget to leave a like and comment down below. If you are new to my channel, do consider subscribing and I hope to catch you in my next video.